basically a demo session for Pega Certified Data Scientist, right? So I welcome you all. So who is basically a Pega Certified Data Scientist? Pega Certified Data Scientist are professionals, right? Who can use the Customer Decision Hub to write and implement strategies which take care of artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? So as part of your data scientist course and your data scientist job responsibilities, right? You will be responsible for designing the next best action, right? You will be responsible for designing the artifacts, which are basically data sets on which you will be running your models. You would be responsible for creating your predictive models. You will be responsible for creating your adaptive models, running data flows, testing those models, moving those models to production, then analyzing their behavior, how they are performing in production, making changes, re-implementing them, and henceforth, right? So your as a data scientist role comes with a lot many responsibilities, and that's what we will talk about today. In addition to that, I would also show you how to use the Pega Analytics Predictive Analytics Director. Basically, it's a tool that Pega has given to all of us to create predictive models. Okay, so let's start. So as I said, this demo session basically today will be an introductory session for Pega Certified Data Scientist, as well as I would be also showing you how to use or how to create predictive analytics in a shorter version, right? We will have in our further classes more detailed description and deduction of that, okay? Okay, so at a high level, what all are there in PCDS, right? So as I said, being a Pega certified data scientist means you know how to use the next best action paradigm. And what does the next best action paradigm does? It basically enables your organization, right, to provide the next best actions or offers to any customer, correct? Now these offers have to be relevant, they have to be contextual, they have to be timely, and they have to be consistent, right? So when I say relevant, means it should match the reason why the customer is calling, right? If he is calling for a service, your next best action should be of a service. If he is calling for a sales, your next best action should give him a sale, right? So that is relevant. Contextual. Contextual and relevant both go hand in hand. Context again is why a particular customer is calling, right? Relevant basically also means whether that particular offer is relevant in today's world, right? So for example, it is highly possible some of the offers in, say, I will take a telecom paradigm, right? Some of the offers in a telecom paradigm were very popular before COVID struck, right? Say Airtel 300 rupees plan was very popular, right? But once the COVID stuck, right, the plan became, assuming a telecom provider 600 rupees plan became very popular, right? So that means in this relevant, which offer is more relevant now? The 600 rupees offer, right? So the next best action paradigm takes care of the contextual part of it and takes care of the relevant part of it, correct? The third most important thing about NBA is it should be timely, it should be quick, right? Nobody wants to wait too long for anything in today's world, right? So your next best action should be timely and it should be consistent, right? Your next best action should be consistent across all the formats or all the channels. Channels here are basically web, IVR, call center or whatever, okay? So that all we will discuss when we work with next best action, right? Then we will discuss how to design Pega strategies, which is the core, one of the most important rules of Pega. So next best actions call Pega strategies, and inside Pega strategies, you design your strategies so that you can balance your business priorities and customer demand, right? So we want our strategies designed in a way that the organization earns profit, right? Plus the customers are happy, because unless a customer is happy, an organization cannot make profit in the long run, okay? Then we will also discuss on the various ways we achieve this using arbitration, using selection, using enrichment. These are all categories of decision shapes available to us, which we use in a data scientist will use while designing the business strategies, right? Another important point that we will talk about a lot in our classes are the Monte Carlo data sets, right? So as a data scientist, data is what drives your decisioning, right? You will design your predictive models, you will design your adaptive models, right? But how do you test this? To test these models, you need variety of data. You need rich customer data, right? And that's where Monte Carlo data sets come into picture. Gone are the days where you will ask customer data sets from various sources, right? Or organizations. Now, Pega gives you the ability to create the data sets yourself using the Monte Carlo methodology. So it's a very powerful methodology, and we will discuss a lot about it. Okay. Then comes the predictive models. So we will discuss why do we need predictive models, right? We will also discuss how you can create a predictive model using predictive analytics director, right? It's a very popular tool, very powerful tool, and it is a tool which enables even normal Pega professionals or normal business analysts to create predictive models. It's a very powerful tool, right? We would also see how this entire predictive modeling ecosystem works with the third-party models, right? So as you know, predictive modeling is very popular in all lot of organizations. So we have a lot of organizations who have their own PML models, right? PML, when I say PMML, it's basically a standard. It's a standard, it's an XML-based standard which describes your predictive models, right? So we would talk about and we would see how I can import external models into Pega and use them in our business strategies. Okay, so we would work with predictive models, we would work with third-party PML models, and finally we'll work with adaptive models, the self-learning models, right? The in thing in today's world, right? These are models that are self-learning. They don't need historical data for prediction, right? So I will show you how to create predictive models, adaptive models rather, how to define predictors, how to measure the performance of an adaptive model, right? How to do uplift, right? How to quantify uplift. That is what we are calling as the impact of machine learning and quantifying it. That basically talks about uplift, right? How uplifting works, how we can quantify uplift. We will discuss all these in our further classes. Right? Another modeling technique that we'll work on is text categorization models, right? So what are these? So text categorization models are basically models that identify topics, intents, and sentiments, right? So we would discuss this in detail, but at a high level, topics are basically subject areas, right? That you can identify from text and then do intelligent decision making on that. Okay, intent and sentiment go hand in hand. So sentiment is basically sentiment detection allows us to know the sentiment of a communication coming from a customer. So we can base our strategies and we can base our response based on the sentiment of the customer. If a customer is showing negative sentiment, we can drive different business strategies. If a customer is showing positive intent, we can drive different business strategies, right? So we would see how these text categorizations are used in intelligent email routing. So gone are the days where emails will be received and they will be forwarded to a single person and he would do filtering on what to do with what emails. Gone are those days. Now is the time for intelligent routing. So Pega gives a very powerful tool for automated email intelligent routing. So we tag these text categorization models with our email channels and we see how we can route traffic, right? Which saves time, increases customer experience, improves customer experience, and it's a win-win situation for all, right? We would also talk about data flows, right? That's how the strategies get executed. We will see how to run strategies via data flow. You would see how to create simulations. You would see how to test various strategies. We will see how we can have a champion strategy running in live environment and how we can challenge that champion strategy, right? And compare the results using another powerful tool called Visual Business Director, right? So we would work on all these topics as part of our data scientist course. Okay, so we will work with predictive models, we'll work with adaptive models, we'll work with text categorization models, we would run simulations, right? We would design strategies, right? And we will see how the VBD, Visual Business Director tool works. So all this we will discuss in our further classes. Okay. So for now, let me just go back to Pega. And what I will do is show you one of the most powerful tools that Pega has come up, which we are calling as Predictive Analytics Director. Okay. So using this tool, I would create a new predictive model in Pega. Okay. And we would see at a high level what are the steps. Of course, we'll go into details of these in our further classes, but for now I will just show you the basic steps that we do and how it comes, right? So right now I'm in the prediction studio, right? So in prediction studio we have the predictive analytics director that is running behind, and I'm going to create a new. So as you can see, this from the prediction studio we can create a predictive model, we can create an adaptive model, we can create a text categorization model and a text extraction model. Okay, so for now let's go with predictive model. Okay, so let me give the name my pred demo, right? So I have a number of issues, business issues defined in my application beforehand, right? I will take new sales as one of the business issues. So business issues are, in real world terms, issues that any organization faces, or any organization is divided into. It can be sales, it can be service, it can be retention, it can be a number of other stuff, right? In our case, it is sales. So I'm going to create a new predictive model, my demo model, right? For the issue new sales, right? As I told you, we can either create a new model ourselves or import it from PML, which is a third party, right? Importing third party. So in today's session, just for the demo, I will show you how to create a new retention churn model, okay, for the business issue new sales. What is churn? Churn basically identifies, this model basically tries to identify customers who are going to leave the organization, right? So for example, I have 3 customers who are with say a telecom provider or any other service provider, right? For some duration, right? So even before they leave, right, like they stop their plans, right? This prediction model, this predictive model can identify those customers, right? And we can do something what we call as proactive retention. So proactive retention means even before they leave, you reach out to them and change their plan or give them a discount so that they stay with us, because it is, to get a new customer is always more, it costs more than retaining an existing one, right? So that's what we call as churn, right? So we'd of course discuss retention more in our other classes, but for now let's create this bit, right? So I did a start. Let's see what happens. So my modeling has started. Okay, so you see there are multiple steps of a model: data preparation, data analysis, model development, model analysis, model selection, right? So let me select a data set as a source. Now, as I said, we would work with Monte Carlo datasets, right? But for now, I would just take one of the Monte Carlo datasets. Okay. How to create a Monte Carlo data set, what to do with them, all this we will discuss in our further classes, right? For now, I'm using a Monte Carlo data set that I have already created. In our detailed classes, we will discuss how to create one. Okay. So this data set that I have has an ID field, right? Has a salary field for the customer, has a state, has an age, has a name, and an outcome. Outcome basically means whether the customer accepted the offer that was presented to him or rejected, or he didn't do anything, so neutral, right? That's the outcome. So whenever we train a model, basically we are creating a predictive model. So when we are creating a predictive model, it needs historical data to create a model. So this is the historical data that we are feeding him. So what the first line basically says is a customer named Kane, whose age was 52, right? Whose salary was 3, did nothing with the offer that was presented to him. So it is neutral. Okay. So let's proceed now. I selected the source. Okay. Here you can do the sampling. So I am doing a uniform sampling. You can do other kinds of sampling, stratified or not. And plus we also split the data set into development and validation and testing. So what I am saying is I will use 50% of the data for development. The rest 25 will be used for validating the model, and the other 25 will be used for testing. Okay. So let's proceed. Sampling. Okay, now predictive models are of scoring or spectrum type, right? Here we will go with scoring, right? And I would identify the outcome field and what it means. So what I am saying is, if somebody who has rejected my offer, right, is actually a churn customer, a customer who is planning to leave my organization, right? So these are the persons whom we want to identify, right? And the others who have accepted or who have accepted final, these are all loyal. So I'm just mapping them into the two categories that are defined in my model, which are loyal and checked. Okay. Now let's proceed with the next step. Now the predictive analytics director will identify the predictors, right? And then it is our, so what this says is they have already identified this five, what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 predictors, right? But I know that these ones ideally are not predictors, right? Sorry. So I would change these to ignored. We'll discuss more in our further classes. As I said, this is just a demo session. So now I have the two predictors, right? I will proceed with them. Okay. So now we will group. So we have two groups of the predictors. One is salary, one is age, and I'm going to use the best of them. So the predictors, what are predictors? Predictors are attributes of a customer or an offer that basically identify or help us to predict, right? So in our case, what we are saying is salary and age are the two predictors. These are the two attributes of the customer that will help us to predict whether this customer is going to leave or stay. Okay. So now you see, after predictor, we have come to model creation. Pega by itself has created two models, regression model and decision tree model, correct? For now, we will keep these models and we will see the model analysis step. So in model analysis step, basically you compare the scores, right? So if you see the regression model, you can see the behavior of the model, you can see the lift, the gains, and the discrimination of the model, right? This is how your model is behaving. So you can analyze your individual model, okay? But this is when you are basically comparing the scores, right? The actual model is yet to be prepared. So once we have done the score comparison, right, basically means seeing the behavior, lift, gain, and discrimination charts of that offer, right, of that model. We proceed to the next, which is the score distribution. So in score comparison, you were reviewing or validating the individual scores that have been assigned to each customer. But now here, or each interaction of the customer. Now here we will divide the score distribution into intervals, or what we call as deciles. Okay, so we have created 10 of them, right? And so that is the basically score comparison is for scores, and then score distribution distributes these scores into intervals, okay, or classes or deciles, whatever you can call. In this case, it split those scores into 10 classes, okay. And then in the class comparison, you would actually see the same charts, but not for scores, but for classes. So again, the behavior, lift, gains, discriminations, etc., but not for individual scores, but rather for classes of scores. In our case, we have 10 classes. You can see here 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. In this way, we have divided them into 10 classes. Okay. So this is your model analysis. And finally, your model, two models, regression and decision tree chart is ready. And what you can do is, for now, I will map this to my customer class, right? And I will finish. By finishing, what will happen? This model will get saved. Okay. Once this model gets, let me do it this way. Let me map it to my, what you call? Yeah, let me map it to my customer class. I can also map it to my other classes, but for now I will just map it to my customer class. Okay, so this model is now finished. Just wait for this model to complete. So as you can see, my Pred demo model is now ready. It is just saving the model. Just hold on for some time. Okay, so done. We are done with the model, and let's save this model again. I think it's already saved. I'm saving this model, and we will go back to our prediction studio. You would see that model becoming my Pred demo model is now ready to be used. Okay, so this is the way you create a new predictive model using Pega's Predictive Analytics Director. And this is the way you create a new predictive model. How do we use this model in our strategies? That is something that we will discuss in detail in our further classes. But for now, as part of this demo, what we have seen is how do we create a new predictive model using Pega's Analytics Director. Okay, predictive analytics director. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for your time, and hope to see you soon in our next classes. Thank you.